Alright, hello boys and girls, moms and dads. Welcome to HeroesMart Homeschool Academy. This is 5th grade Bible reading. We're going to be walking through the 36th week of this curriculum. This is going to be the last week of this particular grade year. And we're going to be studying from a book titled The Overcomer's Secret, Part 5. The Overcomer's Secret, and then Part 5 is what we are going to be talking about today. Overcomer's Secret, and then Part 5 is what we are going to be talking about today. So the Overcomer's Secret is a resource that we wrote in the ministry that endeavors to teach certain critical attitudes which we believe are going to be really important to be successful students, successful workers, successful adult. Whichever area of life you find yourself, you are going to need these attitudes. So we started talking about these attitudes being honesty and humility, especially in our relationship toward God, but in our relationship toward the people in our world, we got to understand that the same attitudes are going to be applicable as well. What are we talking about? We're talking about in relating with somebody who's a superior to you, whom we call a truly greater, or somebody who's going to be your peer, and then somebody who's going to be your subordinate. So your subordinate is going to be maybe like your junior sister or your junior brother, and your superior is going to be like your parent, like your moms and dads, like your teachers. You got to learn how to show honesty, humility, and faith in those relationships. When you're talking to your mommy, you're talking to your brother, you're talking to your friend, you got to learn how to show HHF in all those relationships. And when you show HHF in all those relationships, guess what? You're going to be attracting the mercy and the grace of God. And with the mercy and the grace of God, there is no mountain that you will not move. There is no valley that's not going to be filled in front of you. Why? Because the grace and the mercy of God will be your sufficiency. So that attitude, those attitudes are really important. When you're talking to your teacher, that's not a time for you to be rude to them. That's the time for you to say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. When they tell you to do certain things, that's the time for you to say, yes, ma'am, I'll do that. That's humble. That's being honest, and that's being in faith toward your teacher or toward your mommy over there. When you're talking with your peers, even your friends, you want to make sure that you show selflessness. In other words, let them take their turn to play at the park. Okay? Share your toys with them. Don't be selfish. Well, that is humility. When you're working with your junior brother, who's just maybe a little toddler, he's just learning how to walk, well, be patient with him. Well, that's going to be humility as well. That's going to be honesty. Why? Because you were a little toddler before, so don't just kick them around and talk harshly with them. Well, guess what? Those are going to be higher levels of honesty and humility that we can exercise ourselves in by the grace of God. So please go ahead and turn to your Overcomer's Secret. There is going to be a chart over there called the Overcomer's Chart, especially I believe on page number 324 if you have the latest copy of the Overcomer's Secret. You are going to see additional practical levels of honesty, humility, and faith which you should exercise yourself in by the grace of God. Alright, so what are the baseline levels of honesty, humility, and faith? We talked about that before. That's going to be baseline level of honesty, acknowledging the existence of God, and then not being offended at God, and then acknowledging that God is the source of our prosperity. All these details are going to be the Overcomer's Chart, which may be found on page number I believe 324 of the latest copy of the Overcomer's Secret. Latest copy of TOS. That's the Overcomer's Secret book. Alright, question number 2. What are higher levels of honesty, humility, and faith? For example, well, that's going to be something like being selfless. That's going to be something like being patient with people. That's going to be something like submitting to other people who are your superiors. All right. The flow of Zoe into our hearts will help us to overcome the law of sin and death. True or false? And of course, the answer to that is going to be true, because when God's life, His nature, flows into us, it gives us spiritual energy to overcome sin, to overcome death, to overcome the vortex of disobedience. All right. So that's what I've got for you today, boys and girls. Thanks for joining me. And until next time, remember, God cares about you, and so do we. Bye-bye.
I'll be your hero's buddy, and as you study with HeroesMart, I will be your friend. So don't you worry.